right, everyone, back for another episode. And I don't know about you, Al, but I am hanging on by a thread today. Literally, I've gone full hillbilly. I'm drinking my whiskey out of a mason jar today because my dishwasher is broken. So this is like the only glass I had readily available. So there's
Come on, Bri. You got to learn to wash with your hands.
I know. Well, I would have, but I was running late, as you know, because I was sick today. LA is quite literally going up in flames. The air quality is like, unless you have like a Bane level mask, you can't go outside. It's like, it's wild. And then yesterday, I don't know what possessed me, but I thought I was like Joe Rogan and I worked out for 4 hours. Literally 4 hours. There we go. Yeah, it was bad.
What made you do it? You got angry or something?
Actually, yes, that was why. I was angry, and so I was like, I needed to work out my anger. So I went on like a hike for 2 hours, and then I came back and I was like doing weightlifting and body weight exercises for another 2 hours to try to work off my aggression. And then I was feeling it this morning because this morning I was like, I had like terrible throat because of outside, and then I was just like dead after working out. And I texted my friend. I was supposed to call him today, and I was like, I can't. And he's like, oh, did you have fun last night? And I'm like, no. Like at 27 years old, if my body is broken, it should be because somebody worked it out the night before, not because I decided to, be a mountain man and go hiking for 6 hours. That's what I should be tired from: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But instead, it's just anger and resistance bands. That's why I was not feeling well.
It's funny that world seems foreign to me now. It's been like 6 months or something like that, and going out and partying or drinking or anything like that just seems so foreign to me right now.
Yeah, because you haven't done it in so long. That's how I feel too. I'm like, I don't even know what that feels like. I haven't been hungover, and God knows how long. It's so weird. So
I haven't had a drink since March.
All right, well, that I can't say. I can't say I haven't had a drink since March, but I haven't been touched by other humans.
I don't hang out with you that often, so I don't have any friends here. The only reason I would drink was to be at the comedy clubs,
Right.
So I haven't been at a comedy club since March.
I know, it's so bad. We could go get dinner at the Comedy Store, though. That's like a thing right now. Yeah. That's like one of the only things, but yeah.
They do some shows behind the glass there now. That's pretty cool.
I was angry the other day because I was arguing with my mother, which is like nothing new. And then I was telling my friend Kim this story of like when I was little, when I was like 3 years old, right before my mom had her second child, she had a daycare, like a mini daycare that she ran out of our house. So she would watch, like 6 or 7 kids all day during the day when I was like a toddler, to bring like extra money and whatever. So she always used to tell me that I used to bite the other kids at the daycare. And I was like, she was like, yeah, you wanted attention. Like you had an attention thing. And I'm like Kim and I were like at 3 years old. You think I was smart enough to I haven't studied Freud, but I'm pretty sure the ego does not develop at 3 years old. But she thought that in my mind, I was like manipulative enough at 3 to think like, oh, let me chomp everybody to like get attention. But
every mom is a therapist. We know that.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was like at 3 years old, really, you thought that that's why I was doing it? I mean, do you remember what you were doing at 3? Like, did you have like a reasoning behind it? No.
Unless I was hungry. I think that was the drive for everything. If I was hungry.
And then you would bite people. Yeah, I guess I would bite the other kids, and then she would stick me behind the couch as timeout. Because she couldn't put me upstairs because she would still need to watch me with the other kids. So I would just have to get like corralled like a bad cow or something like that and get stuffed behind the sofa. Can you imagine? No wonder I'm claustrophobic.
By the way, this is another clue. Like, are you sure you're not Puerto Rican? Because that's a very Puerto Rican thing to do. Have your own child daycare at your home.
Oh, yeah, no. You would think, right? No, we're definitely not Puerto Rican, but we had like a small, we were operating a business out of our house, if that makes us more Puerto Rican. I'm not sure.
It's very Puerto Rican.
But it's so funny. And then I said to her, I'm like, maybe I was doing it for attention because I was 3 years old and I didn't want to share my mother with like 8 other kids. Like, isn't that semi-reasonable? So
Yeah.
I could remember too, like the one thing I do remember was like I would want to go upstairs and play with my Pico. I don't know if you had one of those when you were a kid.
No, what is that?
It was like almost like a video game, like where you would like touch, it would be like a little console and you would like play with it and it would like project onto your TV. So at the time,
Really?
that was like a big deal, you know? It was like almost like a video game type thing. And I would
What was
always
it
go want
called?
to go play with my Pico, and she would say no because the other kids would get jealous. And I'm sure that's when I decided to then be like Hannibal Lecter and bite the other kids. Like, if you're not going to give me what I want, then I'm going to fuck your business up, lady. That was me at 3 years old. Or that's what my mom thinks.
I think she's right. It only
Yeah.
makes sense.
I was power hungry, like coming out of the womb. That's what I learned. I am like, and I'm not, and then of course, like, as I always bring it to sex, like, I was like, because someone asked me, they're like, oh, are you like a biter? And I'm like, no, like, I'm a scratcher, but I'm not a biter. Has someone ever bitten you during sex?
Yes, and I like it.
Oh,
I'm a
you
fan
do?
of it.
Okay.
I've never bitten, or I never bite, I guess
Okay.
you'd say. I never bite, but I am totally okay with a girl biting me. I can't ask them to do it. I never have asked them to do it.
No.
But when it has happened, I'm okay with it. I'm all game.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like it's up there with like hair pulling and like, you know, whatever else. But yeah, I like surprisingly that childhood trait did not translate over into adulthood.
What's the weirdest thing you could be open about sex that you like?
That I like, the weirdest thing? I guess I feel like that's hard to tell because everybody's definition of weird is different. Like, what's the weirdest thing? I think it's the people that I'm attracted to sometimes. I mean, you know that. Like, Justin wants to put me in therapy because I'm sexually attracted to Dana White. Like, he's like, I literally want you to go get evaluated because I can't believe.
No, it makes sense. You know, he's like in shape. He has power, lots of money, you know.
That's what it's like. It's the power thing. Like, that's what I was saying to my friend the other day. Like, I came out of the womb bossing people around and putting them in their place. So what turns me on in a sexual situation is to have somebody do that to me. Like, you assume the role of the power person, you know, because I'm doing it 98% of the time.
Is there something you don't like in bed?
Laziness. I don't like laziness. See, I'm like a drill sergeant. I'm like, I don't like if you're lazy and disorderly, you know, because it's a fucking privilege. It's a privilege to enter me, right?
Yeah.
It's a privilege to enter me. So act like it when we get in bed. If you get in there and you're like, you know, you're lazy and you act like you don't want to be there, now I'm annoyed, right? Like, I showered, I shaved, I stretched, I limbered up for what? For you to just be, you know, act like this is like a chore for you? No, absolutely not. So I don't like laziness. I need somebody to take charge. And I feel like I'm pretty open-minded. Like, I'm sure, like, if we went through a list, there are things that I wouldn't want to try. But if I really was into something, like, if I really liked somebody and they wanted to try something, like, I would, you know, most likely do it if for no other reason than I wanted to make them happy, you know?
Okay, what about, you know, pee or poop?
Oh, no. See, there you go. Like, that's exactly where I draw the line.
We recently heard, by the way, have you heard about Odell Beckham?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, he's into that. He likes the pooping.
Well, allegedly. Do you think that's true? Do you think that
Absolutely. She went. The girl that talked about it went in such detail about it, and he didn't deny it. So I can only assume it's real.
I forget who was talking about it too. Damn, it's gonna bother me. It was like some personality. I want to say it was one of the Barstool guys, but I think it was KFC, and he made a good point. He's like, for most people, I'd be like, oh, there's no way. But he's kind of like openly weird, Odell. Like, he's openly kind of a strange dude. So it also doesn't seem that far-fetched that maybe he is into that. No,
and he's probably done it all. You know, he probably done everything, you know, by the age of 20. So it only gets weirder after that.
That's what I always say to people about athletes or like any man or whoever like that could just so easily have sex with whoever they want. I'm like, I have to think that a lot of them do get into more extreme shit because it's like that high. It's like once you've had it all, like you want to keep pushing the boundaries because you've already done everything else like to excess and now you're bored.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah.
So I'm imagining like circus performers and like monkeys in his bedroom.
Oh my God. Like, I hope not bestiality. That's like the Richard Gere hamster thing. Like that's like very weird to me.
Yeah. That's something that people just swipe under the rug sometimes.
I know. The bodily fluids thing. I'm just not like that's where I would draw the line for sure. I'm not like it doesn't matter how much I love you. I could never. Ugh.
A lot of girls don't like their hair being touched. Are you okay with that?
No, you could touch my hair. I remember one time a guy, like, you know, typical man, like giving his unsolicited opinion. A guy was like, oh, your hair, you cut your hair short now, so I like to grab onto something. And I was like, okay, well, now you could just get a better grip if my hair is shorter. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't sass me because I got like a little cut.
And also, that's just incredibly misogynistic and horrible. You shouldn't say things like that to ladies.
Like, I shouldn't cut my hair because it's like, you know, hypothetically, like as if I would have ever had sex with the person in question. But that's fine. Actually, today, it's so bad. This is like turning into like the disgusting sex podcast, but
turning into.
Well, it's been. Well, you know what it is? It's just like things are so boring right now that like it's sometimes hard to find things to talk about because not everything is so stagnant. You and I talk about it all the time. Like it just feels like we're like it's Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
So, you know, my sort of like repertoire is a little limited, but my friends, I have like a group chat going with a couple of my girlfriends, and out of the blue, my friend's like, Bri, serious question. Have you ever been Eiffel Towered? And I'm like, they were like, we need to know if we have we want to know if we know anyone personally who has. And I was like, first of all, the fact that you asked me like as if it was like a get, like, oh, like let's ask Bri, like, cause she would do something. I was like, no, I have not been Eiffel Towered. You know, I haven't been Brooklyn Bridged. I haven't been Lincoln Tunneled. Nothing.
Rotisserie chicken?
Yeah, I haven't been rotisserie chickens. No, I have not had any of those things. But and then like, you know, like we were like obviously like girls talk just like guys do, and I was like, for me, it's also just like the sheer choreography of it all, like. You know, like men don't pay attention to detail. Like men, like unless it's like a gay man, like do you know any straight male designers, like interior designers? No.
No. I wanted to be one like out of high school, and I thought about it. I was like, I'd never even seen a straight one before, so I don't know if I can do this.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, men, you know, they're not good at stuff like that. So you're telling me that I'm going to have sex with two straight guys and they're going to have like the choreography and charisma to perform a sex act like the Eiffel Tower? There's no way. If I wanted them to build an IKEA shelf, they couldn't do it. So you think we're going to do this and someone's not going to get hurt or it's going to be sexy? It's going to be hard.
I have a friend, a close friend, who did it in college, and to this day he brags about it. He loved it.
We'll see. Okay, that's the other thing, because my friends was like, they're like, oh, I don't know any girls who have done it, but I know a bunch of guys. And I'm like, guys are always going to say that shit. I'm not saying that your friend is lying, like he very well could have, but guys are always going to cop to it. And women, even if they did do it, I feel like are less likely to cop to it. You know,
definitely, 100%.
Because
but my thing is, what are you bragging about if you're a guy? First of all, I mean, it's just weird. It's a strange thing to brag about, especially if the other person's a guy. You know, you're slapping hands with this guy. It's kind of strange. I don't know.
You know, it's like a degradation thing, and it's like a power play, and I think some guys are into that, obviously. So I don't think it's so much about the I'm getting off because there's another guy here. It's almost like, oh, I'm getting off because like we're all taking advantage of this chick. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of what it is, right?
Definitely. I think so.
My friend told me that this, again, she was speaking for her guy friend, but that he was getting the like guy B, who was like, you know, behind the girl, was getting so into it that he kept accidentally banging guy A into the headboard because he was thrusting too hard. So the one side of the tower was like, you know, getting beaten up. It was not going well. And that's what I'm saying is like, all it takes is for like one side of the tower to get a little too aggressive. And the next thing you know, you're a skewer. Like, I'm not going to take that risk. Hell to the no. That's, please.
You know what's something I've seen in porn that I can't imagine any girl actually liking is when a guy pushes down the head of a woman while they're having oral sex. That can't be good, right? Do you want that?
I would not say that I want it, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, because sometimes you need a little shove, like you're not going to choke yourself, so you got to kind of have somebody else do it for you.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe that's something I should be doing. Is that something I should be doing?
No, because honestly, a lot of women do not like that. So I would not that is not that's a perfect example to all the men out there of something that we never want to assume in a sexual situation, that somebody wants to have their gag reflex activated. So you should, in some way, subtle or not, ask for permission. Or just sort of bob it a little bit and test and see the reaction. If it's pleasant, then go on. But if not, then I would, proceed with caution. Because, it's uncomfortable. It's not a good feeling, Yeah,
I can't see myself ever doing it unless she asked for it. And then that's a different story.
Right. Some people are into it. But it is what it is. Some things I just feel like are casualties of the job. You know what I mean? Or what do they call that? Occupational hazards. Some things, even if it's not intentional, some things just happen because you're in the moment and it's, whatever. So that's an example of something that if a guy just was really into it, he would do it, not necessarily meaning to hurt you, but he got excited. So, I'm not going to but if somebody peed on you, that's intentional and that's not okay. That's gross. Odell. So gross. But wait, you actually feel like we're getting close to the 20-minute mark, but you reminded me of something before and I can't, oh no, I hate when I lose my train of thought. Oh, wait, I just remembered it. Oh, Burning Man. Then we were talking about, do you know anybody who goes to Burning Man?
Yeah, a couple people.
So I jokingly said that my assumption is anybody who goes to Burning Man has been Eiffel Towered, which is a joke in poor taste. I don't really believe that. But I do know that there's a lot of orgies and group sex and free love, whatever you want to call it, going on at Burning Man. So I often
There used to be, but now it's just hipsters and, taking pictures for Instagram. That's what it is now.
I don't know. I'm telling you, there's still a fuck tent at Burning Man. It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah. People, I read about it online. People have had some wild experiences there. So again, not that means that everybody who's going to Burning Man is into that, but I do think it's a thing. So, and also if you were going to try and do something like that, what better place to do it, right? Because the excuse is oh, I was at Burning Man, I was on shrooms. It was whoever the fuck was playing, we're in a garbage city, nothing matters, it'll be torn down.
Yeah, what happens in Burning Man stays in Burning Man. We all know this.
Yeah, exactly. So I was if you ever were going to do something like that, that's, I get it. That's exactly where I would do it too, in the tent. But yeah, anywho, someone told me they were doing a virtual Burning Man. And in my head, I was God, what is that going to look like on camera?
I'd imagine everyone, all these girls just dressed in their, their EDC gear, posting on Instagram. That's what it is.
Yeah, probably. I had a friend of mine too. A lot of these people have to stay nameless for their own sake, but he told me about something called Fet Life, fetish life, and they were doing Zoom calls during the pandemic. And it was a free-for-all. It wasn't even fetish specific. It was all different kind of fetishes. And they were all on camera just doing their thing. And you don't have to do anything, but you have to be on camera. So in other words, even if I didn't want to perform, you would still have to see my face. It can't just be a blank screen. But they were doing, imagine 2020, how innovative people are. They were having a fetish orgy on a Zoom call. I mean.
And it's safe.
Yeah, and it's safe. And that really should be Zoom's, next commercial. Is so great you can even have an orgy via our service.
Where was Zoom in the 70s? I'm telling you, it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, we're just coming up on 20 minutes, so I think I'm ready to wrap it up on this disgusting disgusting episode that my mother, this will just cause another fight, so my mom cannot listen to this.
This is a gross episode. I agree with your mother.
One.
This was a gross one.
Yeah, no, we took it there, this episode. There's no denying it. But hey, that's what happens. I mean, literally nothing matters. I'm drinking whiskey out of like a mason jar that may or may not be clean. The air is toxic. You know, nothing matters. It's 2020. That's the vibe. All right, but until next episode, you know, if I make it, if I don't die of listeria from this mason jar, we will see you guys next week. But until then, the twins and I and Al bid you farewell.
Whoa!